still a little bit frustrated following yesterday's draw against Bournemouth. I think there's a tendency after the game to obviously analyse it in reviews and whatnot. I think the morning after, I just look back and think, well, there was no need. There was no need to come away from that game with just a point. We were one goal up, we were cruising, we were attacking more than them. There was just no need to sit back and retreat and sort of make the substitutions the way we did and the manner we did. So it was a little bit frustrating. And what I thought it did is it sort of highlighted, well, I think two needs really. Number one is the need for some new players, which we're going to talk about here, and some of the players that we've been linked with. Also, the need for possibly some fresh coaching ideas. And no, that's not me. I understand David Moyes isn't going to be sacked yet. I'm talking about the assistant manager. And it was quite interesting to read David Moyes' comments about assistant managers. He said he's speaking to a couple of people this week. I don't know if he used the word interview, but I think he said speaking to a couple of people this week. And they'll be making a decision. He thinks it's going to happen imminently. So I thought that was, quite important from our point of view, our perspective. Whether he listens, I suspect he doesn't listen, but another word in his ear. Even just at that point where it looks like they're overwhelming us, and at the point where the majority of us could see that there was a goal coming, that just somebody in his ear to say, Moisey, we're inviting them on us a little bit too much. We need to give them something to think about. I think that's the point. We'd stopped giving Bournemouth anything to worry about with us. Anyway, that's really interesting. Also, what was interesting were his comments about Tim Steidten, which basically said, actually, I get on with Tim very well. He said, but we've not had that much time to meet. So we've not had that much time to discuss players. He said, we don't agree on all players. He said, but that's normal. I said, I'd be surprised if we did. And what else did he say? He said, well, the most interesting comment was about Steidten purchasing players in Germany for Leverkusen. He said, but it's different here. He needs to get used to buying players for the Premier League because it's different. So, look, take away from that what you will. I'm not going to sit here and overly analyse it. I just thought it was information to bring to you just in case you hadn't heard it yet. In terms of the players we are being linked with, well, let's deal with Lucas Paqueta. First of all, that transfer situation. I guess it is a transfer roundup, isn't it? So Lucas Paqueta, the suspicion is that the deal will be done this week. City are keen. Kevin De Bruyne is injured. No massive surprise there. The other thing is that we are very interested, apparently, in Cole Palmer. It's the structure of the deal that concerns me. Brighton want him for 30 million. So they just want to buy the kid for 30 million quid. If I were Cole Palmer, I've got to be honest, I'd be going to Brighton. Why would you not, as a development path, that's the club you want to go to. You really do. So I think my biggest fear, if we really want him, is that we come in with this deal, which is we want to sell City Paqueta. We take Cole Palmer on loan with an option to buy. I just think if I was Cole Palmer looking at the two options there, I think, well, I'll just go to City. Clearly they want me. Their playing style is going to suit the way I play football. It just makes absolute sense, really, for them, doesn't it, I think? So I'm not going to get my hopes up too high on that one. This video is sponsored by the OneFootball app, and we're very, very happy that they're sponsoring this video. There's a QR code up there somewhere. Why should you download the OneFootball app? Well, first of all, it's free. Second of all, it's the best place for you to keep up to date with all your West Ham news. At the moment, the news is going very, very quickly. Players coming in, well, not so many of those. Players going out, lots of those. If you want to find out exactly what's happening and up-to-date reflection on all the incomings and outgoings at West Ham, the OneFootball app, at the point where you download it, asks you who you support. You tell it you support West Ham, and what it does, goes around the internet and newspapers, cherry picking all the West Ham stories, puts them all into one place so you don't have to go searching for them. If you could use the link below or the QR code, please, we'd very much appreciate it, because they'll know you've come from Hammers Chat. It really is a fantastic app. Okay, Anthony Martial. That's an interesting one, depending on your point of view. Anthony Martial was a player that I really wanted about 9 years ago, actually. I don't think that he's fulfilled his potential or anywhere close to it. Originally, I can't remember which way, either he was originally at PSG, and that was before they had all the big money, and then he went to Monaco, or it was the other way around, it was something like that. And then he went to Manchester United. But he was such a promising player. And he just, as I say, never really fulfilled that. I do actually, funnily enough, think he would operate well within David Moyes' system, but you have this whole sort of David Moyes MOT, which I think has been shown to be an absolute fallacy by the way. I know I've just mentioned it. I don't want to hear about this David Moyes MOT ever again, because the MOT suggests that David Moyes is scouting and recruiting players for their personality, their adaptability to the Premier League, how resolute they are, how committed they are. I mean, come on. I mean, a lot of his signings don't even want to play for the club. So I'm done with that whole MOT thing. However, in terms of playing style, I actually do think he'd probably suit David Moyes. He's not a bad size. He's not massive, but he's not small either. He's quick, and he can operate centrally, and he can operate out wide, and he can run in behind the defence. That suits David Moyes down to the ground. The suspicion is that, I don't know why I keep saying suspicion. It's not suspicious. The suggestion is that it might be 15 million. He's 27 years of age. That is not a bad fee for a 27-year-old. I don't like what we're doing. Again, it has to be said, just packing the team full of, players in their late 20s and early 30s. But I do think it would work. I really do. And, certainly somebody like that would give us a far better option than what we have at the moment, which was, as you saw with yesterday, which was bringing Danny Ings on. And I feel bad for Danny Ings. I do think he's a good player, but just bringing Danny Ings on to play in a team that he's unsuited to play for, I think it's pretty much evident that he's really not. So I think that one is interesting. Watch this space on that. We are being linked with the Montpellier forward. I'm just trying to look for his name. Wahi, his name is apparently Fulham are interested again. They had a win that they'll be very pleased about yesterday. I also look at it, and there's no rumour on this. Everton look like they're in trouble. Again, I know it's only one game, but Everton do not look good. There is a club there, and Everton fans won't watch this. Well, they won't watch this anyway, why would they? But they won't agree with this. There's a club that need a reset. I think it would almost do that club a bit of good to get new owners in, new everything, possibly even go down. Just almost start again, because I'm saying this after one game of the season, I could be made to look very, very foolish. They finish the top 10 and they win a cup or something like that, and I end up looking silly. But whatever's wrong with that club doesn't seem to be put right. It's a little bit of a shame, because actually I do actually like that Anana, the midfielder. I think it's probably too late to go in and get him now, but I do think he would have been a good option for us. That's for sure. One of the other players that we're being linked with, again, is Ian Martson at Chelsea. It does appear as if Antonio certainly wants out, and it looks like Aaron Cresswell. Aaron Cresswell was wanted by Wolves before they ditched their manager. What was uncertain was, with Gary O'Neill coming in, would he want Aaron Cresswell? It appears that he still does want Aaron Cresswell, actually. So that's pretty interesting. That if he's going to go, and I think he probably will, we are going to need a left back. So I do think it's going to be another busy week, if not with players coming in. Certainly in terms of speculation, there'll be a few transfer updates, that's for sure. Edson Alvarez is an interesting one. David Moyes has said he hadn't trained. Okay, no surprise there. But he's speaking now, again, he's speaking in very cautious terms. We've seen this before. He's going to monitor him, and he doesn't know when he's going to make his debut. It's a bit frustrating, it has to be said. What I do expect is, I absolutely expect James Ward-Prowse to make his debut, and he would make his debut even if he hadn't done any training. He'd be making his debut. So I think we can all read in between the lines on that one, really, can't we? But I look forward to seeing him. I hope. In fact, the irony is, I don't think it was an issue for us midfield against Bournemouth. I really don't. I don't think that's where our problems lie. I'll try and wrap it up now. The Harry Maguire situation, they think that's going to drag on. No surprise here. I've thought that will drag on for a while. It always is the case when a player is looking for a payoff from the club, and that's what he wants. So for him to take a drop in wages, because he's poor Harry, it's only going to get £100,000 a week at West Ham. I don't know how he's going to survive. But he's on 175, 180 grand a week at Man United. He wants to offset some of that. We're not going to pay him 100 grand a week, and rightly so. But we shouldn't really be putting ourselves in financial jeopardy to do this. But it means he wants to pay off from Man United, who actually want to get rid of him. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. I think he wants to pay off something like £6 million from Manchester United as a loyalty payment to offset the wages he will lose at West Ham. It sounds complicated. Well, that's because it is. These things do not get sorted easily. And see, the thing is, Man United, there's no massive urgency. They just want to get him out of the way in this transfer window. They don't really care if a couple more games elapse. For West Ham, we do. We need him out. We need him in sort of now. Certainly David Moyes would think so anyway. I'm not entirely sure Nigel Gerd's performance, which sometimes I thought it was about 50-50 actually in terms of a Gerd and Solanke in that duel, if you like. I thought it was probably about 50-50, but sometimes Solanke got the better of a Gerd and sometimes a Gerd got better of Solanke. He did make a couple of really good recovering tackles, a Gerd, but he also made a couple of mistakes as well. So I think, if you're watching that and you're David Moyes, you're probably thinking, oh, okay, I probably want to get Maguire in now. So that's going to be really interesting to see what happens there. No announcement on James Ward-Prowse yet. Maybe it'll get announced at the point where I'm uploading this video. I don't know. Just be prepared for a busy week. I do expect the Lucas Paqueta deal to absolutely dominate the West Ham news.